Hello and welcome to a new video. If you are a supporter of OpenStreetMap, a contributor or a long-time user, you will know that we don't just map for cars and for commercial purposes, not for people who are just looking for the next restaurant or shop or whatever, but we map with a much wider use case in mind, and sometimes we're just mapping stuff just in case someone will come along and look for that information. And today's example plays into that. So I've been researching a church ruin in County Carlow, which is made from granite and from limestone, and I was wondering where the granite came from. I haven't talked to locals yet, but I presume there is a granite quarry somewhere nearby, because that area, it becomes a bit more granity. That's a technical term. Whereas Kilkenny, as you might know, is a lot more limestone based. But even coming, because I have to take the bus, taking the bus from Kilkenny to Goresbridge, where this is near, this church ruin, even in Goran already you have quite a few granite buildings, and then more in Goresbridge, and then more in Boris and in Wicklow, which is where the bus goes. So I haven't found the granite quarry yet, but I thought, wouldn't it be good if that was something we could actually look up on OpenStreetMap? And we could if it was mapped. So in this video, I want to show you how you can do that. A lot of quarries are mapped already on OpenStreetMap, because that's just something people do, but not with the level of detail that would be required to be helpful. And that is probably partly due to the fact that you can't really see on satellite imagery what is being quarried there, because it's all just greyish beige, and you can't tell by the machinery, I guess. Maybe some people can, I've no clue. But you would have to need the local knowledge or do some research to add that. And the way it's done on OpenStreetMap, I have the wiki page open, the OpenStreetMap wiki page for that here, is first of all, you draw the area of the quarry, which you can usually see on the satellite imagery, and if you compare satellite imageries from different dates, you will see that often, if it's not a disused quarry, that it will have grown or expanded, would be the better way to describe it. So you draw the area, and in some cases you might have to use a relation, I won't go into that, and use the main tag land use equals quarry. And as I said, there are a lot of them already mapped. I'll show you in a second. And then you can add what is quarried there using the key resource. So you type resource into the first part of the table, and then limestone, sandstone, not very likely in Ireland, coal, which might be a bit unintuitive to use coal in a quarry. You would use that in a mine, but they have decided, people who have come before us have decided that on OpenStreetMap we use quarry for all of those. So coal would be one. Some people use it for peat as well. And then you can add an operator, which is usually if it's still an active quarry, but there are loads of quarries that are inactive now, especially the coal ones. And those are usually the ones that might be of interest historically. Not necessarily medieval ones, but there are still some around or known where medieval quarrying was going on. One of them is the Black Quarry in Kilkenny, for example, where all the famous Kilkenny marble came from. And another one that comes to mind is the slate quarries down in South Kilkenny around the Knockrope Passage Tomb, south of the Knockrope Passage Tomb, so Aheny, that kind of area. It's between, Aheny's not actually Kilkenny, but that area between Kilkenny and Tipperary, there are slate quarries there, and I recently came across a source from, I don't know exactly, 1347 or something, the 1300s anyway, where the local landowner, who was I think a Fitzoliver, granted the monks in Kells, in County Kilkenny, in Kells Priory, the right to quarry slates for their roofs in the priory, and I thought that was very interesting. So quarrying has been going on in that area since the 1300s. So it is a historical issue as well, so that's why I'm bringing it up in a video. And then you can read that yourself, how you deal with abandoned or disused quarries. There are different ways of doing that. Sometimes they're also reused as dumping sites, landfills. I won't go into that now. But I'll show you two examples. They're both going to be limestone. because that's what we have in Kilkenny. And first of all, I want to show you what it looks like, because once you have it all mapped, or even just parts of it, you can extract the data, or other people can extract the data. This is really what we have in mind, other people using the data that we provide. So I've made an overpass-turbo query searching for land use equals quarry in Ireland, which is the Republic of, and all the yellow bits you see are all the quarries that are mapped, and the other colours as well. But the yellow ones are the ones, I haven't made this with colourblind people in mind, so I hope you can see that there is a great coverage there. These are all quarries that where the resource is not mapped. And then I have colour coded the resources. So blue is limestone. So you see there are a few around Kilkenny. Surprise, surprise. Red is coal. What else do I have? Black is slate and brown is peat. I have other colours that I was searching for, but none came up. So there's no granite quarries mapped, no, oh, grey is there, that's gravel, and no sandstone, which we don't have a lot in Ireland anyway, which would have been orange, but you can maybe see, if you're not colourblind, that there's no orange dots, so there's no sandstone quarries mapped. There is sandstone in Ireland, there's just no sandstone quarries mapped. So this is, hopefully, if quite a few people watch this and do a little bit of work, it'll turn all the yellow areas into other colours. Eventually, I will put a link to this query into the video description, so you can use that and modify, maybe use different colours if you want. And maybe there are other resources I just didn't think of. So these are just the ones that came to mind. Or you can change to a different country if you want. And you can also then export the data and use it in QGIS or on UMap and do a different color-coded map, or maybe not color-coded, maybe you want to use symbols. This is searching for areas, so if I zoom in, it has the whole area highlighted, but you could also change that to just a node. You just change outer body geom here in line 21 to the geom, which is short for geometry, to, maybe you have to delete the body as well, into center with the American spelling, CENTER. And then it'll just place a node in the center of this area. And then you can use symbols in QGIS instead, you know, for the different resources. So this is what we're trying to improve. 2 lime kilns in, not lime kilns, quarries, lime quarries. Sorry if I said kiln at some point before, it just comes easier. So 2 quarries. This one is near Ballyragget, north of Kilkenny, and it is a lime kiln. There we go again. A lime quarry. And it's still active as far as I'm aware. And you can also see that it might have destroyed some archaeological sites along the way, because there's quite a few in this area. But sure, we can't save them all. So I'm going to go into these 2. So when you go into OpenStreetMap.org, this is how they're rendered, with the grey background and the little pickaxes in the background. Or maybe one is a pickaxe and one is a hammer, I don't know. I'm not a miner, I'm all grown up. But it's... So this is what that looks like in, what do we have, Esri World Imagery. So this is the oldest Esri World Imagery Clarity, at least for County Kilkenny it is. So you can already see that this quarry is there and the other one to the west is not. But if you look at more recent imagery, you can see that that is indeed a newer quarry. And Bing is in between, so you can actually see between the 3 imageries how it is expanding. So I mentioned that before. So I'll just be lazy and highlight both of them, start with the one in the west, and then have the shift key, holding the shift key, I click on the other one to highlight that as well. By the time I've talked this over, I could have just done 2 of them separately. But anyway, so we go over on the left into the table there where it already says land use quarry, so it is already mapped. And just add the resource limestone. It might be interesting if you do know, and it is Historically, it is interesting to know what kind of limestone it is. Like some of them are have more fossils in it. There's a longer word for that, but I'm going to stumble if I try to say it. The Kiltorcan one that we're going to map next has a lot of fossils in it, and for certain products that is quite popular for, I guess, fireplaces. And if you've walked the streets of Kilkenny, there's a lot of fossils in the curbstones, for example. I don't know if they did that on purpose or if that's just a side effect. Whereas other ones, you don't want that. You just want very clean, plain limestone, and you have the black limestone and the blue limestone. Don't ask me details, but those are the two you have, and there might be a way to tag that differently. I haven't really thought about that too much, so I'm not going to do it. Maybe limestone, then next tag limestone equals blue, and limestone equals black, and limestone equals fossiliferous. See, I knew I wasn't going to be able to say the word. But there is a word for having lots of fossils in it. I just can't say it. So I don't know the operator. If you do know, and you can probably look it up, you can add that under operator and then even add an operator website or something like that. If you do know when they started the quarry, like in this case, it could be found out maybe for the one in the west, or when they stopped quarrying, you can add the end date as well, which might be of interest for people doing industrial history. And not just industrial history, it's, quarries closing always means a loss of jobs, so there's always a little bit of history. I'll just save this now. And as the source, I'll put local knowledge. If you have a different source, you can add that. So that's the one, or the two actually, outside Ballyragget. And the other one is this one here in Kiltorcan. Usually they're named after the townland name or, the next biggest settlement. So it's southwest of Ballyhale. And this one is limestone as well. It's the one with the many fossils in it. We'll just check the imagery to see if there's any change. That's the same imagery, even though it says Bing. It does seem to have expanded a little bit. I wouldn't want to live in that house. Where I'm from, they quarry quite a bit of gravel. So we have all these disused gravel pits, and they're lakes now for swimming. So around my hometown and also around Leipzig, which does have an effect on the climate as well. But that's going too deep now. It doesn't seem to have grown much since. I might just add this bit here. And you can add all the tracks if you want, but I don't know how long they survive. Oh, there's a bit more down here now. I should have checked beforehand. I don't know I presume it's also limestone, but I don't know, so I'm not going to add the resource there, but I'm going to add it for this one here. Resource limestone, and maybe I'll add a description and say that there's lots of fossils in it. Famous for its high fossil content? I don't know. And save that. And source again is local. So it's really quick when you don't explain it to someone while you're filming. And then we could try to run this again to see if there's any changes, which there should be. But it might not work. We'll see. It did work. The question is it showing what I've just done already? This should be, yeah, so this is the two outside Ballyragget that have turned blue. And I think Ballyhill is somewhere in this area. It doesn't seem to have changed. It takes a while. I should have been a bit more patient. But this is, you know, this is how you can do that. And if you're using the old maps like the British War Office map, or if you're using JOSM, you can use the first and the second edition Ordnance Survey maps as well. They usually have the quarries marked, and sometimes, and it might depend on the county, it will say gravel pit or something like that. So I guess that would count as land use quarry resource gravel. For example, there's one outside Ballyknockan, which I could have used as an example. Is it that the one? Not Ballyknockan, Inish Cheek, sorry. Might be this one here. Yeah, I might just go in. That wasn't planned as usual. That is fairly unused, but there is a lime kiln here. And this time I do mean lime kiln, which you can see when you're driving past, you know, in the right season. Sometimes it's a bit overgrown. Yeah, so here, hopefully you can read that. It's quite blurry. But on the British War Office map, it says gravel pit. So we can add the resource gravel. And you can also add the source here. British War Office map. Or whatever you want to call it. So I'll add that. And so in this case, the source is British War Office map, which comes up for me because I've used it before. I don't think it'll come up for everyone if you haven't used it before. And upload. It won't change anything in the appearance. It's still just a quarry. It won't change it to a different color here. I don't know if I should risk running this again. I'll wait a few minutes and then run it. You don't have to wait with me. So I've run this already, so you don't have to wait in anticipation whether it's going to work or not. And it does seem like there is a new grey thing down here now. So that's the one I just mapped. Resource gravel. And the blue one, the Kiltorcan one, is down here. And the yellow one, which I added and I don't know the resource, is down here. So 1,844 polygons there. So that's how many quarries are mapped with more or less detail. So I hope you found this interesting, and maybe you can go and map 1 or 2. Or maybe you fall down a rabbit hole. That would be great for OpenStreetMap. Just try to get out of it before you get completely stone mad. And thank you for watching, and hopefully see you soon in another video. Slán! Fossiliferous. Fossiliferous. Fossiliferous.